Alright, what's up everyone? This is Sam, coach of your Great Lakes Grimmsnarls, and today I'm joined by Wade L. Flamingo. What's up, Wade?
How's it going, guys?
And today we're going to be doing some power rankings for the Erie Division Draft League. Still wondering when I should claim ownership because they stole the name from my like, could I sue? I think I could sue.
I think you can sue, man. Take them.
I'm reporting these ads as inappropriate because I don't want to see them. Ad covered my content. Okay, so pretty much we're just going to be ranking these as a tier list in a tier list format. Wade, do you think we need 5 tiers? I feel like we could cut it down to 4.
Yeah, I reckon 4. We only have 10 teams, so
Yeah, I'm just going to cut the S out and we'll just have A, B, C, D.
yeah, that's a good call.
Yep, cool. Okay, so we're just going to go in alphabetical order here. So starting with the Shambana Shellos. Wade, do you want to start off with some thoughts on this team?
Yeah, I feel this team is going to be quite heavy reliant on their coaching strats to get them going, which isn't a bad thing because they've got quite a few physical mons that can take advantage of it. I feel this team has good anti-jank measures with things like Serena and the abundance of taunt users. It's the only team with a priority tailwind, so that is one advantage that this team will have over pretty much every other team. And it's got Pokemon that can use both the tailwind and the trick room at the same time. So things like the Serena or Jellicent or even the Magneton can all use Trick Room or Tailwind depending on the matchup. I feel there's a few throwaways picks with this team though. How about you?
Yeah, so I agree with most of your analysis there. I do agree that there are some throwaway picks. I don't get the Rapidash. I understand that you can click coaching next to it. I understand it does well under Tailwind, but like I just feel like there's other things you'd rather click coaching into, like Serena, like even Sharpedo, which I also am like kind of on Sharpedo.
Yeah, like you didn't really need to double up on the water and the
Yeah.
fire types.
But you know,
Could have probably branched out a
coaching
little bit more.
like coaching next to Conkeldurr and Dragonite and Serena, like I don't, and even again Sharpedo, I don't know why you're ever coaching Rapidash, and because of that, I just feel like,
That's true.
right, like I just feel like Rapidash isn't gonna do much here. I get the idea of like, oh, I need a fire type because Fletchinder kind of doesn't count. But like, I get that idea, but it's like, I would rather just see you get something that's gonna fill a role, like a niche role well, versus like something that's just gonna come twice and be a fire type.
Yeah.
Overall,
I agree. Something. What's his Oh no, he's got a pretty good trick room setter and Jellicent, so he doesn't need anything extra there.
yeah, Jellicent, his
Maybe
trick room
something-
core is pretty good. There's not many things that got drafted that are slower than 45 actually. Only a few.
Yeah.
So Conkeldurr is going to be
Yeah,
one of the
I was
slowest
gonna
things.
say maybe something in that 30 range, because there's plenty of that sort of stuff in tier 4. Maybe that could be a good pick over the Rapidash or even the Sharpedo.
Yeah, for sure.
I think the Sharpedo's not a bad pick, but I just we don't really need the double up in water typings.
Yeah, I agree. The type matchups here are good. He doesn't really lose to very much, like in terms of numbers.
Yeah.
Having your my one concern is 3 of his biggest damage dealers, Conkeldurr, Dragonite, and Sharpedo, are all weak to Fairy.
Well, that's true.
Which concerns me a little bit. The other thing is
resist is Matinda.
Yeah. And
actually,
Magneton.
all 4 of his big physical attackers that we were talking about, because Sharpedo is also weak to Fairy.
Yeah. Yep. And yeah, so fairy, like a strong fairy type could be an issue. Also, like
Yep.
Magneton being your only steel like fairy killer is also not great. Um, like Magneton is fine, right? Like I don't think it's an
Mm.
out of place pick here, but I feel like that being your only fairy killer on a team
SWV
like this,
audio
you should probably
captured,
have a better
not
fairy
registered.
killer in
Yeah.
some way. Also, I feel
Yeah.
like
Agreed.
like the Cryogonal too is like I'm I'm a fan of Cryogonal. Like I like it. I drafted it in Great Lakes Draft League. I never played it, but it never felt like a wasted pick either. Um,
Yeah.
but like the procking potential here, yeah, you can proc Serena, yeah, you can proc Dragonite, but like the problem is you proc Dragonite, you're dealing a chunk because it's 4 times weak, and well, I
Yeah.
guess multi-scale is the thing, so I guess not. But then you're either losing your multi-scale or not running multi-scale. In which case, in which case, I think all but 3 of the teams in this league have an ice type, and you don't love to
Yeah.
take those. I mean, yeah, Dragonite's bulky,
Yeah.
but a strong stab ice move is still gonna do a lot to it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you
And
and
something I
it's
just noticed as well. He's doubled up on the electric type, and I don't think Dedenne actually adds anything to this team
I agree. I
that
also think
Magneton
Dedenne
doesn't already.
could be switched out. That being said, I
Yeah.
don't think like, his ground matchup is okay because he has Dragonite, Fletchender, Cryogonal as like immunities. So like that's
Serena
not
as a
a
resistant.
Yep. So that's not a
Yeah.
concern to me, but I agree. I don't think
Yeah.
I think Dedenne could have been something else, or Magneton could have
Yep.
been a different steel type.
Yeah, that's true. Because like, it's not the typing thing that's the issue for me. It's the overlap of uh, of roles. Like, Dedenne is like, you know, electro webbing, nuzzling, helping handing maybe, but like he's already got all that kind of stuff. Like,
Yeah.
what does he, what does he need another one for?
I mean, in certain matchups, like Serena plus Fletchender is basically just guaranteed Tailwind. So like, I don't even know why
Yeah.
you need Electro Web so much. Does Magneton get Electro
Yeah.
Web?
No, it doesn't. Oh, yes, it
Yeah.
does. Yes, it does.
Does it?
Yes.
Yeah.
SWV audio captured, not registered.
Oh, it's Manectric that doesn't.
Yeah.
All right. Do you want to plot this on the tier list then?
Yeah, I would say. So we got A, B, C, D tier, C tier,
C tier, yeah, agreed.
and I think we give it all a general thing, and then we order it specifically afterwards. But I
At
think
the
C
end,
tier
yeah.
is fine. I don't. It's probably in the lower half, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So next up, Clinton Clefables.
Okay.
So this team has Crobat,
Is the
Duraludon,
Duraludon team, the
yeah,
end.
Mimikyu, Hawlucha, Sneasel, Starmie, Thwackey, Crustle, Dubwool, Emolga, and Cubfood. So one
Yeah.
of the glaring things that stands out to me about this team is basically you're doing damage with Duraludon and that's it. Like everything else
Yeah.
needs setup, which is fine. Like he has enough fake out users that can work, but he has
Yeah.
like, to me, if you're gonna draft Thwackey, it's a fine grass type in tier 3, but I think you need probably a better terrain abuser than Hawlucha.
Yeah.
Does Hawlucha get Tailwind?
No, not anymore. Not anymore.
Okay, I didn't think so. That's unfortunate.
Like,
Yeah,
and
it does.
and double semi takes care of can abuse the grassy terrain as well.
Yeah, it gets Grassy Glide, but like I feel like I mean it's got what, base 80 attack with no stab, like that's doing nothing.
But it does like the grassy seed, especially
That
with
is
that
true.
fluffy ability.
That is true.
That
I
is,
almost
pretty
feel like
flippin' nutty.
Double Under Terrain is better than Hawlucha Under Terrain on this team.
I prefer the bulk over the speed.
And that's saying something for for me because I'm not
Yeah.
necessarily a bulky
SWV audio
bulky
captured,
Mons
not
player.
registered.
I do think the
Yeah.
Hawlucha procking or getting procced by Sneasel is pretty good. I don't love Sneasel on this team though. I feel like you're basically procking Hawlucha and that's it.
Well, Sneasel does get fake tears too, so and it outspeeds the Duraludon.
That's
So,
true. Yeah.
Would you like to cop a -2 steel spike from Duraludon?
That is true.
I know I don't.
Right. But yeah,
Um,
overall, I just feel like this team is gonna it's gonna lack the ability to go burr, if that makes sense. Like,
Yeah.
nothing on this team
Yep,
other than
no.
Duraludon. Like, granted, he supports Duraludon very well. He has Crobat.
100% he
He
supports
has
well.
fake tears for it. But there's other picks on this team just make me scratch my head. Like, Starmie, Crustle,
You could have got something more offensive there.
Does Starmie get Aqua Jet?
Yeah.
I don't think it does.
I don't know what's it procking with that anyway.
Crustle, but it doesn't even get it.
Oh, yeah. So yeah, I'm not a fan of the Starmie pick on here. The Crustle pick, I can give or take it. Like, if you let that thing get shell smashed, you can just pretty much just switch your game off. You lost.
Yeah.
Kung-Fu I don't like. It just kind of, yeah, put a choice scarf on it, and now you've got another Hawlucha that's probably shitter.
Yeah, exactly. That is. We didn't say this when we were talking about it before the video, but I agree. I was gonna say the same thing. Like, why do you need Kung-Fu to click coaching when you can use Hawlucha to click coaching? Even just base, you don't have to run a sash on it. You don't even need the unburdened proc on it, because it's gonna be faster than most things anyway.
SWB audio
Should have
capture
tried to get maybe
not
something
registered.
with Bullet Punch or Aqua Jet down there. Like even Drizzle would add something to there. Like, at least he could then Aqua Jet into the Crustle and give you something.
Overall, I just feel like there was some wasted picks here.
Yeah, I feel like it needs something else to pair with Duraludon offensively, because it just doesn't, like, Sneasel 95, Hawlucha 92, Mimikyu 90, like, they just don't hit hard. They all need to be boosted to hit hard. So I think something else offensive, maybe in place of that Starmie, and then you could bring Drizzle in on the Kung-Fu, and you could get a totally different type up here in the Starmie. I think that would be pretty good.
Yeah. I think Sneasel also, I feel like I think Rolo should probably ask himself, do I really need Sneasel here?
Yeah.
But the other thing is, like, yeah, like you said, his only offensive stats above base 100 are Crustle at 105 and Duraludon at 120.
Yeah.
And that's not great.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you prep hard for Duraludon, you're just kind of winning.
Yeah, especially since he's got some fake out can help him get the setup on the Crustle and stuff like that, but like, something's maxed and all of a sudden your fake out's worthless.
Yeah, I like the Duraludon Mimikyu as like a defensive core, but they don't have much synergy together. Again, Crobat's just gonna be basically guaranteed Tailwind. I don't know. I feel like this team is also probably a C tier.
Yep, but I think probably above the last one.
I would say I like it better than the Shellos, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so next up is the Corpus Christi Krabbies.
Captured, not registered.
Alright. So this team has Entei, Hydreigon, Aerodactyl, Alcremie, Caparaja, Behem, Decidueye, Licky Licky, Lopunny, Quagsire, and Impidimp. What do you think about this one, Wade?
I love it. I think it's a good stuffs team with good spread out speed stats and a good mix of bulk and offense, and some really good support pieces that really just bumps up how good this team is. I think they're going to be, like, the good thing about Draft League is you can run a bit of janky stuff, and I think this kind of lacks that jank factor. Has got stuff like, you know, Fake Tears Impidimp or Swagger Impidimp into the Licky Licky. You can proc some weakness policies on the Behem, but I think this is a team where you have to prep for every single option that's on there.
Yep.
Because you don't prep for that Licky Licky, it's going to sweep you. You don't prep for Alcremie, it's going to set off whatever that move is, Decorate on anything, and you're going to get crushed. So I think this is probably the best or better, one of the better teams in the league.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, you know, I don't think it's without its problems. I think
Yeah,
Quagsire is a weird pick here to me. It to me it
yeah. 'Cause I'm
does
not really
very
seeing
little.
too much electric weakness or water weakness there.
Like you
But
already
yeah,
have a
Entei and
you have a base 30 in Caparaja speed wise anyway, so like the 35 feels awkward.
yeah,
It needs to set up some way, but I don't even know if does it even get setup moves other than like defensive setup.
actually, unaware curse yawn could be quite um, threatening.
Yeah, that's true. I just feel like
Mm.
it feels like
SW
another one
audio
of those things.
captured,
It's like a
not
water type just to
registered.
take a water type, and that's not always a
Yeah,
bad thing.
there's
But
been a few teams that I feel like they get to their tier fours and then just add in one of their fire water grass core, and it just kind of makes it less good. And and I feel that's kind of where that Quagsire sits.
yeah, I agree. I love the Caparaja Alchemy Hydreigon Fantasy Core. That's insanely good. Um,
Yeah,
that's really
agreed.
good. Aerodactyl
Behem
is basically the fastest thing drafted, tied for the
Yep.
fastest thing drafted, but still.
Behem is pretty nutty as well.
Does a lot of
Base
damage
125. Yeah,
with
base
analytic.
125 with that analytic. Good trick room center in this particular format. And then you've got like things like Dekijui or Decidui and Impidimp that can proc a weakness policy on it with Shadow Sneak and Sucker Punch respectively.
Yeah, and you can also he can also prankster swagger Impidimp into Licky Licky, own tempo,
Yep.
which is
Own tempo, that-
pretty solid. I don't
Yeah.
think Cloud9 is gonna be too great in this league, because most of the weather cores that got taken are kind of secondary modes.
Yeah.
But it could still
Yep.
be useful, and it's definitely
Well,
it definitely won't be useless.
Yeah, I think against the Sand team and the Hail team, it could be good as well.
Yeah,
Especially given its bulk. Like it's
Yep.
pretty fat.
yeah, for sure,
So
literally.
I think Licky Licky might be the one to watch out for in this team now that I look at it.
Yeah, I kind of thought it was misplaced, but now the more I look at it, the more I like it. But overall,
100% agree.
I'd say probably. I think we can put it A tier for now, and we'll go from
Yeah.
there in comparing it to the other A tiers after the tier list is done.
SWB audio
Um,
captured,
Yeah, great.
not
Okay,
registered.
so next up is Dundee Dunsparce.
Yep.
So here we have Comfy, Gudra, Hitmontop, Vanillux, Archeops, Executor, Berserker, Sandslash, Alola, Greedent, Heatmore, and Octillery. So the first thing that stands out to me about this team is he has like quote unquote gimmicks up the butt. Like he has
Yep. 100%. I think I rated this 10 for gimmicks.
yeah, he has
Gimmick-
Comfy Gudra, he has Hitmontop, Bullet Punch into Vanillux with weak armor to proc weakness policy and get speed boosted. He has just his hail mode with Vanillux and Sandslash. He has Berserker next to
He's got
Sandslash.
Berserker with Sandslash.
Yep, he's got what Comfy? Oh, never mind. But even stuff like, I think does Vanillux get Ice Shard?
Yeah, it does.
So like, even then, I mean, I don't know if you have much of a reason. Yeah, it does. I don't know if
Max
you have.
Executor.
Yeah, you could proc a weakness policy on Executor. I'm not saying it's good,
Well,
but
in
it could
saying
work.
that, it does have base 125 special attack.
That's true.
And
Does it die
especially in
to?
this format, that's pretty freaking nutty.
Yeah, it dies to a bug landing on it, but also,
It does. So just keep ants away.
yep. But thankfully, there aren't that many bug types drafted here, so that's not
No.
that big of a deal. Ultimately, I think
Mhm.
this team is like super solid. I think
Yeah.
the one weakness it's gonna I think the thing that's gonna make prepping difficult for Raz is like, or not prepping, but the actual games is if the opponent is able to correctly telegraph which mode you're bringing, you might be in trouble.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
SWB audio
Because most of these are
captured,
lead.
not registered.
modes like Hail lead, Gudra lead. Like
Yep.
Gudra's fine in the back. Like Gudra's great as a cleaner, like a late game max. But you know,
Yeah, and
you
it doesn't even need to be procced by anything either. Like you can
that
just
that is
slap an
true.
assault vest on that thing and let it do dumb shit.
Yep. Against teams that don't have physical dragons or physical fairies,
Hmm.
especially like
Hmm.
it's gonna do a lot of work. So I'd say this is
Yeah.
probably another A tier.
Yeah, 100% agreed.
Yeah, we'll decide on the ranking between that and Krabby's at the end.
Yeah,
So next up, we have my team, Great Lakes
probably
Grim
the
Snarls.
probably the worst team in the league, I reckon. This one, fucking shit. Okay,
um,
so what I like about this team, it's fast and offensive, and its offensive types, although they are fragile, you still have a lot of good bulky options to back it up, um, and lots of taunt and fake out, um, and even defiant, so helps prevent some of that the janky sort of gimmicky stuff that can happen in um, draft league. Good pairings, things like Sylveon Salamence, Mantine Manetric, etc. Um, but I feel Trick Room could be an issue, but I still think you have the tools to work around it. Um, Especially with your bulky options, things like Sylveon, Mantine, Sandaconda, Obstagoon can all help. Not necessarily speed wise, but just being thick can help stall out the Trick Room. Um, so I quite like this team. The lack of a grass type may come back to bite you on the butt. Um,
SWB audio capture,
but I
not
don't think it'll make
registered.
that much of an impact on you.
yeah, so
Salamence are scary.
the grass type, I definitely wanted one, but we got late enough in the draft, and it was just kind of like, well, Decidueye was one we were looking at, but Krabby's took it, so we might just not get one. And
Yeah.
I think
Well, I think all the grass types got picked up within uh, one snake of the draft. I
they
think
were a lot of the usable like draftable ones got picked up really fast.
yeah,
Decidueye
like
lasted a while, but
yeah, Decidueye, Lurantis, Appleton, and I think Executor all went in the same snake. So um, yeah, all of the good lower tier ones got picked up real quick.
yeah, I will say I'm surprised that Rotom-Mow didn't get taken because I think it was tier one. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah, so I was happy with how the team turned out. I'm happy with how the bulk turned out because I have special walls like Sylveon and Mantine, and then paired with an Intimidate user that's coming every game, um, paired with like a good Steel
oh yes,
Spike user. So I feel like I don't necessarily have the best bulk like up front, but I can position with the bulk if I can position with the bulk correctly, it makes up for it. Um,
yeah, and Sandaconda, Kling Clang, and Throw don't mind taking physical attacks either.
yeah, yeah. Throw's got base 120 HP and then 85 in both defenses, so he's not frail. Um,
Yeah. I think you
and
got the. I think you really got the S tier tier fours. You really made the most of your tier fours
yeah,
with Jinx, Kling Clang, and Throw. I think
yeah,
they're probably some of the better ones down there.
SWB audio capture,
yeah. So I
not
basically
registered.
I took Salamence on the first pick because I was first draft pick, and then first wheel I took Sylveon Salazzle, and then I went straight for tier fours. So I
Yep.
definitely prioritized them, and I think I missed a grass type because of it. You know,
Yeah.
but I think that's a trade off I'm okay with. Um,
Yeah. Like what does grass resist? Like you've got plenty of water there. You've got um you've got enough ways to resist grass type itself. What else does grass resist?
um, Electric, but
Electric.
I have a
You've
ground
got
type and a
magnetic.
lightning rod user.
Yeah.
Um,
So like in terms of defensively, I don't think you're really missing it.
yeah, I think uh, I genuinely feel really good about this team. I don't think it's the best one in the league, but I also think it's in the upper half probably. Where would you
I
put
think I
it?
agree.
Like a B
Yeah,
tier?
I reckon we're doing A, B, C, D.
Yeah,
Yeah, B. Yeah.
yeah, I would agree.
Yep.
All right. Next up is Greedy Greninjas. So
Yeah.
this team took Suicune, Gardevoir, Marowak, Moltres, Tauros, Frostlass, Galvantula, Lurantis, Persian, Porygon, and Skarmory. What are your thoughts on this one, Wade?
Uh, I really like this team. I think this might be another A tier team. Got two good Trick Room setters in Gardevoir and Porygon. Porygon probably less so, but definitely the uh, Gardevoir, which can help set up that Marowak and Lurantis in Trick Room. I think Skarmory is a really good tier 4 Steel type in this specific league. Um,
SWB audio capture
Suicune is
not
so
registered.
fat, and it doesn't do too bad on the offensive side. And in a league without, there's only one redirector in this whole league. So that Tauros
And
Frostlass,
it's a Rage Powder user, so goggles.
and it's a Rage Powder user. Yeah, so that Tauros and Frostlass is going to tear shreds off teams if you don't have a way to deal with it.
Yep, basically your
And if you
options
don't,
are to outspeed one of them and kill it. Otherwise,
Yep.
they're getting it
Yep.
off.
yeah, so you need a priority user to break a sash, and then something faster that has the power to KO Frostlass. If you don't have that, you are going to get swept by Tauros.
Yep, pretty much. Yeah, I like this. This team is solid. It's, I mean, Suicune is going to be really hard to kill with Marowak being present. Um,
Yep.
Honestly, glad I don't play this team in regular season. I think
Yeah.
I would not be able to kill
Is it-
Suicune.
Because the grass types aren't fantastic in this league anyway.
No,
So
they're not.
everyone seems to have picked from the lower tiers for their grass type. So
Yep.
I think Suicune is going to have a field day. I think we could actually see some max Suicune action happening in this league.
I think so. If
from this
if
team.
it gets like one Calm Mind off, it's doing enough damage.
Yeah.
For a lot of situations. And
Yep.
it's bulky enough that in a lot of situations you can set Tailwind and then still max after that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
Even
like this team.
Galvantula switching into it. It's only got 97 base special attack, so it's not
Mhm.
going to be doing huge damage to Suicune. I could see a max Suicune with a Volt switch into it. That could be pretty sick.
That is true. I forget that Galvantula's base 108 speed.
Mm.
I do feel like this team doesn't do great against opposing Trick Room. Well, I guess Marowak exists. So
Yeah.
never mind. It doesn't.
Audio
I wouldn't say it's
capture
great, but I wouldn't
not
say it's poor
registered.
either. The Trick Room matchup.
No.
Um,
Like, now that I look at it, it's actually a pretty fat team outside of its fast support options in Frostlass, Galvantula, and Persian. Like,
yeah, I
they're
agree.
they're normally pretty easy to take down, but the other ones are going to take more than a hit. Like,
Yeah.
even a Max Tauros, like, if it's getting +6 in attack, you can invest a lot more in its bulk. Like, I think this is a team where fake tears is going to be important, or your weakness policy procking is going to be important to get through this team.
Yeah, I agree.
Mm.
That being said, does Frostlass get Haze?
I think it does.
I feel like a Haze user would be super good on this team. I'm looking.
Yeah.
Does
Oh,
not get
doesn't-
Haze.
Doesn't Suicune get haze?
That probably does. I feel like Suicune gets everything.
No, it doesn't.
Dang. Okay, so that actually may be a struggle that this team has. But
Yeah.
even then, you have ways of just outpowering a lot of things like that. So I think this is an
Yeah.
easy another A tier.
Agreed.
I don't think
100%.
it's quite the level of Dunsparces and Krabbies, but I think it's close.
Yeah, I think it's below them, but I think it's still an A tier team.
Yep. Okay,
All right.
next up is Coughing Smokers. So, this team took Azelf, Hitmonlee, Pelipper, Wheezing Galar, Carbink, Leafeon, Purloin, Seismitoad, Turtonator, Doublade, and Miltank. What are your thoughts on this one?
I think Azelf is going to be insanely good. Is it going to be physical? Is it going to be special? It can literally cater its move pool towards whatever's going to whatever it's going to be able to KO.
SWB audio
Hitmonlee
captured,
is an
not
unburdened user.
registered.
It's probably not the best terrain to set it up with, but still usable. Plus, it's got that fake out normal gem. It's got that bit of a rain mode happening with Pelipper and Seismitoad. A sun mode happening with Leafeon and Purloin. Carbink can set up Trick Room, so can the Azelf if need be. Turtonator and Doublade can function in that Trick Room, and then there's Miltank.
Yeah, so I'm in
feel this
agreement
team-
on the Miltank. I don't like the Miltank here, but sorry, continue.
Yeah, I feel this team is kind of lots and lots of incomplete modes.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I think one problem it's gonna have is like you lead Purloin and Leafeon, and I'm sorry. Maybe this is controversial. Leafeon's not a good sun sweeper. Like it'll probably do fine in some matchups, but it's a little rough.
Yeah.
I feel like yeah, he's gonna rely heavily on Azelf here because it does so much without setup. I feel like the Hitmonlee is a little misplaced here. It has value with terrain, but I don't know how much mileage he's gonna get off that.
Agreed. It does have things like Bullet Punch and stuff that can activate policies. Has it got anything that it wants to proc?
Wheezing.
Yeah, Wheezing. Carbink.
That's it. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
So, if I don't see weakness policy Purloin, we're gonna have problems.
Yep.
I guess
They-
I guess he
vacuum
can
wave.
actually vacuum wave Miltank. Forgot
Hmm.
about that. But overall, like I feel like the Miltank, he doesn't have a consistent enough way to set it up. So in a lot of matchups, it's just gonna be like base 100, deal no damage, or base 100 speed, deal no damage.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure about that one.
I actually feel probably Purloin's a better unburdened mon on this particular team.
Could be, yeah. Again, I think Hitmonlee is a great draft mon, but I just feel like here it's a little awkward.
Yeah.
And the thing
Agreed.
is too, like I like the double weather idea, but I think the way it was executed on this team, you're gonna run into situations where you're like you're basically like if I'm playing against this team and I see Pelipper on the lead, I can pretty much eliminate I can eliminate Leafeon, or if they lead Purloin Leafeon, you can pretty much eliminate Pelipper and Seismitoad. Like they're probably not bringing that, which that's not the end of the
agree.
world. That's not the end of the world. Like that, there's gonna be some level of that in every team that has multiple cores, but I just feel like not only can you eliminate it as the opponent, he genuinely is gonna struggle to bring that. So like if he needs the grass coverage, or if he needs the grass offensive presence, and he needs the ground offensive presence, he's gonna struggle to bring both.
Yeah. I would like to see like an offensive Trick Room user, so you can pair it with Purloin and do the max copycat.
Yeah. Does he have a
would be
Trick Room
nice,
setter?
Yeah, he's got
Oh,
Carbink and
Oh yeah, right.
But Azelf doesn't really want to max and set Trick Room.
Yeah, not really. So this one, C or D? I don't think it's B tier.
Yeah, I'd probably go C.
SWB
I think so.
audio captured, not registered.
Small, not quite refined modes. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's C,
Now,
borderline
seeing how he uses-
D.
Yeah. Seeing how he uses the Galar Wheezing would be nice.
That's
So,
another
like,
pick.
See what he can do with that.
I also don't
It's
love.
a bit strange.
I don't get it. It was also his first pick too. Like, I
Yeah.
honestly don't get it. Maybe I'm missing something. Like, Weezing next to Azelf, I guess is good, but so much of his team wants abilities active that he can almost never run neutralizing gas, which is fine. I think he mostly. I think it wants to be Misty Surge here most of the time anyway. But like,
Yeah.
I just feel like Misty Surge. I feel like Um, I don't know. It just feels awkward to me. Like that pick is weird. Like it has a bunch of half synergies, like things that are like on paper synergies, but in practice aren't that good. Like Hitmonlee on Burden. Like, why do you want Hitmonlee on Burden next to Weezing?
Yeah, yeah. It doesn't make sense. You can't really coach a Weezing.
Nope. I would say, yeah, we can put it in C tier for now. Maybe move it down if we have other things in C tier, but we'll see. Next up is Milwaukee Mamoswines. This team got Mamoswine, Tangrowth, Dusknoir, Luxray, Noivern, Crawdont, Kangaskhan, Garbodor, Graploct, Magmar, and Orbeetle. So, to me, I think this team is pretty good. I think having the only redirector in the draft is going to be nice. You are, because almost every team has some kind of self-proc strategy, you are basically guaranteeing to take someone's item slot with Tangrowth.
Yeah.
And there aren't that many grass types, so there aren't a lot of things that just naturally
SWB
ignore it
audio
either.
captured, not registered.
That being said, I do think that there's some picks here that feel a little awkward. Mainly like Graploct doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Feels really out of place here. I didn't like the Magmar at first, but I don't mind it. I think it's only going to come a few times. Which
I think it's just gonna bullet punch something, clear smog something, and that's about it. Unless some team has some overwhelming fire weakness, which I don't think there is one. I don't think Magma will be coming often.
Yeah, I agree. And I think Garbodor is pretty decent value for tier 4. I think Orbeetle's great value for tier 4.
Yeah, 100%. And his tier 1s to tier 3s are fantastic. Like Kangaskhan is such a good support, potentially offensive mon. Crawdaunt is a really good offensive mon with that adaptability. Aquajet doesn't even need to be in Trick Room, but if you get it in Trick Room, and it has knockoff as well, which is one of my favorite moves, which has normally been a move tutor in previous generations, but they didn't do that this generation, which means getting a Pokemon like Crawdaunt, which does have the knockoff, just that much better.
Yep, I agree. I like the Crawdaunt. I love the Luxray. I think Mamoswine is good because there's so much ice weakness in this league. I do think obviously it's going to kind of be reliant on Noivern setting Tailwind for it, because a lot of things are just going to outspeed and kill it because its defensive typing is trash.
I feel this is like the quintessential Tail Room team.
Yeah,
like
for sure.
Like easily any of these mons could function in and out of Trick Room or Tailwind, depending again what's matchup
audio
dependent.
capture,
especially with stuff like Tangrowth and Crawdaunt.
Yeah.
Being
and
that
Luxray.
50-55 speed. Yeah.
100%.
This team feels like a B tier to me.
Yep. Agreed. Yep. Hope we get to see some Bulldoze weakness policy, weak armor, Garbodor shenanigans. That's always fun.
We may. I don't know if he. I think his only Bulldoze user is Mamoswine, which might do a chunk.
Kangaskhan.
Oh right, I forgot. Yeah. Also, Kangaskhan's going to be really nice for things like beating Frostlass Tauros.
100%.
But okay, so moving on to the next team, Seattle Superlax. So this team took Gigalith, Gyarados, Cradily, Stoutland, Chansey, Ditto, Magmortar, Pikachu, Audino, Hunter, and Shuckle. I'll let you talk about this team first, Wade.
Gigalith Stoutland is a very scary combo. And the fact that Stoutland doesn't even need to run Sand Rush to be a good Pokemon is good as well, because it has that Intimidate ability. Gyarados, fantastic. I know in the Great Lakes Draft League, Surf Gyarados next to Cradily is good. I've used Surf Barrascuda next to Cradily before, which has also been quite successful for me. So that's a good combination there. We have Chansey Shuckle, so that can get fuckled. Ditto, like, people rag on Ditto in Draft League, but I actually think people just don't use it well. People normally just chuck on a choice scarf and think that they've done their job. I think if you can find some other items that work on it, it's quite good, like Focus Sash
SWB
Ditto
audio
or
captured, not
um,
registered.
White Herb Ditto. So if you've intimidated the crap out of something, you can bring your Ditto in. Its White Herbs activates, and all those stat debuffs are gone, and you've now got this healthy Pokemon up against this very much reduced Pokemon.
Yep, especially on a team
so-
like this with 2 Intimidate users.
Yeah, 100%. And also, one thing that you should always think about as well is actually Quick Claw Ditto, because that gives you that 20% chance to go before the opposing Pokemon. So that actually lets you do really well in speed ties, regardless of if they're in Trick Room or Tailwind or whatever it might be. So
Yeah.
I think Quick Claw Ditto, I think this is one time, and also Slowbro Gala is probably a time to use a Quick Claw.
Yeah, I
Chansey
think
Shuckle,
I think the other I think the other thing with Ditto is like even running an item like Assault Vest or stuff like
I've seen that. That actually works quite well.
Yeah, because if you're out bulking, especially against a special attacker, if you're out bulking
Yeah,
then you're kind of winning.
yeah. You come into, say, a Sylveon that's got +2 because they've propped their weakness policy on it. Now you've got that +2 plus all its attacks, and it's all going to be doing reduced damage on you because you've got the Assault Vest. Like 100%.
Mhm.
Assault Vest Ditto is an underrated
Yeah.
choice.
So
Um,
I'm glad you said some positive things.
yeah. Now
So-
let's get to the positive things.
Yeah, so first off, I think that to be very blunt, maybe too blunt, I think after Gigalith, Gyarados, Cradily, Stoutland, and Ditto, I think every other pick on this team is almost
SWB
wasted.
audio captured, not
Yeah.
registered.
Pikachu is not a real Lightning Rod user. It sucks.
No.
It does nothing. Yeah, I know everybody says, well, you can G-Max it with Light Ball and it does damage and paralyzes. Like, it doesn't do that. Ever.
Yeah.
Like,
It's
I've
pretty good
seen
at
this thing
flying.
get drafted in almost every league I've been in, and it has never done that.
Yeah.
I've seen it drafted like 3 or 4 leagues, and it has never done that. It is Lightning Rod, Fake Out, Die, which is not awful,
Yeah.
but at least. What tier was Togedemaru tier 2?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, I was gonna say take Togedemaru, but it's a different tier. So, first off, Shuckle Chansey. Everybody knows I hate Shuckle Chansey. I think everyone who's sane hates Shuckle Chansey, especially in draft.
Yeah.
The thing with it in this league, so normally if you take it like let's say a league like GLDL with 5 tiers, they're both tiered really low because they suck. And so I can totally get behind picking them if you're late in the draft and you're like, oh, these will force people to waste a couple move slots on Taunt or Perish Song or Aura Sphere, like stuff that never misses, or Haze or
Yeah.
Clear Smog, whatever. That's the other thing is there's a million ways to counter it.
Yep.
And I generally it's just like. So I get that in like leagues that are normally tiered, but in a lower tiered league like this, a Chansey in tier 3 is a monumental waste of value. Like, there's so many good mons in tier 3, like
Yeah.
it honestly is like, it somewhat blows my mind that. I think Chansey should have been tier 3 because I don't think putting Chansey Shuckle both in tier 4 was smart.
No, agreed.
That segues into my next point. Shuckle is also okay. I think Shuckle on its own is fine. Like as a tier 4, you can do stuff with it. But next to Chansey, it's not only scummy but also kind of bad. Like I said, Pikachu is a fake Lightning Rod user. I don't really get what Audino is doing here. Like, it sets
I don't
Trick
get
Room,
Audino.
I guess.
Haunt is a good tier 4.
Haunter's a good tier 4, but I don't feel like it. I don't feel like this team needs it particularly.
No, no, that is true.
And Magmortar
And they've
just
got
feels like
Magmortar as well. That's something. Well,
Magmortar sucks.
same as Magma. Like it's got that bullet punch, so it can activate weakness policy on Stoutland, Cradilly, and Gigalith.
Yeah,
So maybe there's something there. And it hits like a fucking truck too. What's it? Base 130,
125. Yeah.
Like that?
So
125.
you know,
I think Magmortar's a good pick.
Yeah, it's at least a decent Firewater Grass Core here of Gyarados, Cradilly, Magmortar. So, but now let me scroll down and point out some of the real problems with this team. First off, this fighting matchup is just awful. Like, you basically if a team has a strong fighting type, you basically are. This team is pigeonholed into bringing Haunter, like every team that has a good fighting type, because half the fighting types in this league have inner focus. Like 3 or 4 of them have inner focus, so you're not intimidating them. And so you can't do that to stop them. And one close combat, I mean, you're not killing Gigalith, but you're chunking Gigalith, you're chunking Cradilly, you're killing Stoutland, you're possibly killing Chansey, you are killing Audino. Ditto doesn't count as a fighting weakness, so that's fair. The other thing is he has 3 rock weaknesses and only one, and no resists, which is also scary, because that literally means you can Dynamax a strong rock type, click max Rockfall, and nothing he switches into will resist it. That's a problem.
Yeah.
I don't think.
Yeah.
I think you should. But there are multiple. He has multiple typings like that. He has no resist for rock, for psychic, or dark, or dragon.
Yeah. Psychic's quite good against this team. This is a team that I'm front officing for. Has week 1.
Okay. So you've looked into this one a little bit.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, I.
Which in saying that, we don't have a good matchup into.
Right, that's fair.
That Gigalith Stoutland is retarded.
That is true. Gigalith Stoutland is gonna carry some of these matches, and I think Cradilly and Gyarados probably will too. But there's just you can only get so far on 2 cores, and especially when in regular season we play every other coach except 1, so your odds of rematches in playoffs are basically guaranteed. So nobody is gonna.
What's the rematch value of this thing?
Very little. Like one week, okay. Regular season, he doesn't bring Shuckle and Chansey, and then in playoffs he does. That's what he's got. So again, this team is gonna get wins. There's certain teams in this league, mine included, that have very few answers to Gigalith, and this team is gonna go crazy into them. But that being, I honestly can't, in good conscience, rate this up higher than D tier, just because of how much wasted value there is.
Audio capture not registered.
Yeah. Well, I think Magmortar's a good pick. If we put Ditto and Magmortar, but everything below that, I think is kind of wasted.
Yep. Yeah, that's like I said, I guess Audino's not awful.
But when you've also got Chansey and Stoutland and
Cradilly and Gigalith
and Cradilly, it's just compounding. Something like a Duosion would be better there, and not have the Chansey Shuckle. At least Duosion resists fighting. It's relatively bulky. It should. I'm pretty sure it would be tier 4.
It's tier 3
slap
actually.
An Eviolite on that.
It's actually tier 3. So.
Wait, is it? Okay,
yeah.
Well, I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
There's something else.
No, yeah, for sure, I agree. So that being said, I think this is D tier. Yeah, pretty easy D tier, I think. All right, Shadow Ducks, last team here. So I'm gonna tackle a good bulk of this, since this is the team Wade is front officing for. But they picked Blacephalon, Indeedee Male, Registeel, Umbreon, Weavile, Appleton, Slurpuff, Altaria, Claydol, Walrein, and Tyrogue. So right off the bat, this team has several very fast, relatively frail offensive powerhouses. Blacephalon, Indeedee Male, Weavile. Those three mainly. Those are just gonna like get like on the lead, just gonna pick up multiple KOs like very frequently. You can lead Indeedee and Blacephalon and click double Expanding Force because Blacephalon does get Expanding Force for some godforsaken reason.
Yeah, they were done with that.
Yeah. Obviously, Indeedee Slurpuff is super good. The part where I see this team falling off in my eyes is Registeel and Umbreon both feel very redundant. I don't think you need both of them here.
Agreed.
Especially with Weavile and Appleton and Altaria on the team. Tyrogue doesn't count as a fairy weakness because it dies to anything. But I personally don't think Umbreon needs to be here. Other than that, you've got some bulky options in the low tiers. Appleton, Walrein. Claydol is especially bulky, but not physically bulky. Same with Altaria-ish, kinda. The problem is Altaria's typing is awful.
Yeah.
That being said...
We didn't get it for its typing.
No, yeah, you guys got it for Tailwind, probably, right?
Tailwind, Perish Song.
Yeah. Altaria, yeah, it still gets Tailwind.
Yeah, yep, still gets Tailwind.
Yeah, okay. I feel like
that's just something I gotta say about this league is people have really seems to be prioritized Tailwind.
Oh yeah, I mean that's basically the only reason I took Mantine was because it was a bulky Tailwind setter.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think this team is bad. I think it's gonna be difficult to pilot. I think, because I think this team may run into problems where, let's say you lead Indeedee Slurpuff or Blacephalon Indeedee or whatever, I can see problems where your lead just gets destroyed by like a Scarfmon or something that's just naturally faster than 107, and most teams have something like a good chunk of teams have something faster than 107. In Weavile or in Blacephalon. So like I feel like there's a lot of situations where you're gonna lead something fast and offensive, and your stuff in the back is not gonna have the staying power to deal with a 1v3 or whatever you're gonna be. Like you're gonna get one kill, your stuff dies, and then you have like Walrein and Appleton in the back, which are fine defensively, but like they need setup to do offense, like to have enough offensive presence.
Yeah, I feel I 100% agree. I think we need to trade away the Umbreon and look at Blacephalon and see what we can change there.
I 100% agree with Umbreon.
As it stands, we're gonna rely on maxing our bulky mons that have like okay offensive stats. So things like Walrein, Claydol, Appleton, maybe even Registeel. Like at the moment, that's probably the weak part of the team. It would be good to get. You don't really want to be maxing Weavile, Indeedee, and Blacephalon.
Yeah, not very. Much. I would say Blacephalon is one of those mons where you max it if you need it to hit a calc. Because it hits like a truck. So if they have something that's like I think I remember people like on some ladder team, somebody I knew had like a Blacephalon that was like KO to like a max flare KO to max Metagross or something, and like things like that I can see maxing it, but you're not really maxing Indeedee or Weavile, I don't think.
100%. So we do need to change that because we're just relying on bulky max options at the moment.
Yeah,
there's
so
something a bit more, something in the middle.
Yeah, I would say C tier probably.
Yep.
I think C tier is fair for it. It's not D tier. But I also don't think it's B tier.
Not registered.
Okay, so currently, Wade cannot see my screen, so currently we have Krabbies and Dunsparces in A tier. Which do you think is better? I think Krabbies.
Krabbies, 100%.
Yeah. So we have Krabbies and then Dunsparces is second. B tier we have Mammal Swines, Greninjas, Grimmsnarls. I would probably lead towards Greninjas being number 1 there,
Yep.
and
Then
then
Grimmsnarls.
Mammal Swine.
Then Grimmsnarls.
Yeah, I meant Greninjas, then Grimmsnarls,
Oh.
then Mammal Swines.
Yep.
That's where
Yep.
that's what I would have done probably. C tier, we have Clefables, Shellos, Smokers, and Ducks. I think Smokers is the worst one.
Yep. Agreed.
I think.
Smokers, did you say?
What was that?
Did you say smokers?
Yeah, I think that's the worst one.
Yep.
Do you
And
think it's
then,
D tier? I don't think it's D tier.
No, I don't. And then I think the one with the Duraludon.
Yeah. Well, do we think Clefables are better than Shellos?
Yeah, we do
Yeah.
actually.
So I think it goes. I think the Ducks are the best one in this tier.
Yep.
So that's C tier. So C tier is Ducks, then Clefables, then Shellos, then Smokers.
Yep.
Yeah, and then Lax is D
And then
tier.
Yep, I agree to that.
Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Yeah, overall, really solid teams. I'm really excited to see how this league pans out. In terms of seeing some unusual stuff get kind of shown off. I also happen to know that a lot of these guys are pretty good at like the unusual type of draft strategies, so I think they're gonna show us some cool stuff, and I'm hoping that everyone learns a little bit about some like low tiers that don't get used.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm looking forward to, is seeing some of these lesser used mons shining bright.
For sure. Like I think my team is a perfect example. Like, so I think Salazzle is going to do a lot of work for me, and normally it's like, what, Salazzle? That mon sucks.
I actually think Obstagoon's going to do a lot of work for you, because
I
think
agree.
Icy Wind and Electro Web are going to be the big deciding factors in speed control
Yeah, I could see that
in
for
this
sure.
league.
For sure.
So, yeah, I think I forget where I was going with that, but I'm sure it was important.
Well, that being said, thanks a lot, Wade, for coming on and
Cheers,
recording
mate.
this with me. As for the channel, GLDL run is over, sadly, but we will be. I am actually playing the Dundee Dunsparce tomorrow, 9
Oh, good.
p.m. Eastern. So
Mm-hmm.
that match will probably be uploaded tomorrow night.
Yep.
So looking forward to that, but also not, because because he has a hail mode and my main damage threat is Salamence, but we won't talk about that until tomorrow. Alright, well, thanks for watching, everyone, and I will see you all tomorrow.